Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our regular council meeting for March 6, 2023. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional territories and the oral practices of the Blackfoot Nation, which include the Siksika, the Kainai, and the Piikani. We also acknowledge the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations, the Métis Nation, Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. We're making this acknowledgement to demonstrate our continuing efforts to work together as we strive for reconciliation through increased and collective learning. We'll kick off the afternoon. We have some board members that are retiring from their committees there, and we want to recognize them. And I think we just have the one here this afternoon here, Robo Baisea, right? Close, yeah, and you brought Timbits too, so yeah, you're in everybody's good books there. I just want to mention, and I always kind of mention about our board members, from the community. We really appreciate you coming forward to be on our boards because you bring so much sort of education and wealth from the community that a lot of times we don't see there. So we certainly appreciate your input and what you bring to the community here too. So. Yeah, I have one here for you here. There we are. What I'm going to do is present you with this one up here, and then you can go along the line here and shake the councilor's hand if you don't mind. Tell me if you come this way or this way.
Joel, can you turn on your mic and point it that way?
Thank you very much. We're going to get a picture here. Yeah. Fromage. That's cheese because it's Franco Day today. I know I designed it that way, eh? Thank you. You go right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. There you go.
Okay, and we have some staff introductions here too. Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to start by introducing Rick Santiago. Rick, do you mind standing up? Rick will be joining us as a term asset manager. Rick is a professional engineer in mechanical, as well as a certified asset management professional. He's been working on framework of asset management as per the internationally accepted standard of ISO 55000 since 2015. Outside of work, he plays golf, and he loves watching reruns of The Big Bang Theory. And Rick actually joins us from the Northwest Territories.
Yeah. Hey.
So welcome. Thank you. I would also like to take a moment and welcome Tanis Frey, who's joined us as a pool shift supervisor 1. Tanis, would you please stand up? We pulled her out of the pool. Tanis was raised on Vancouver Island, and she comes to us with a ton of aquatic experience. She's still a big kid at heart, so it comes as no surprise that she does fit in with the rest of the aquatic staff here at Brooks. Her supervisor, Tabitha, is, and I quote, totally stoked for Tanis to join the team, so we would like to welcome her as well. And the next introduction, I will hand over to Amanda Peterson.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council, I'd like to introduce you to Megan Walker. Megan has been with the city of Brooks. She actually has lived in the city of Brooks, and she graduated from the Brooks Composite High School in 2012. After doing some upgrading related to her diploma and deciding what she'd like to do to pursue as a career, Megan attended MC College in Red Deer in 2017 to study cosmetology and to become a hairstylist. When she moved back to Brooks in 2018, she did finish her courses, and she wanted to be closer to her family, and she started her apprenticeship to become a licensed stylist. She comes to us with lots of customer service experience, and she is very excited to start driving for the Access Transit with the city of Brooks to aid in our ridership getting to their appointments and daily activities safely. She enjoys meeting new people and is excited to get to know the residents of the city of Brooks who utilize our service. So welcome, Megan.
Hey. For all three, you welcome. You're working in the best place in the whole world, the city of Brooks. You won't have to stay for the rest of the council meeting. Yeah. That's where we're the best place to work. We have another board member we want to recognize there too, that she just showed up here too, Catherine Hoffman. And we have a little certificate for you. Catherine and I worked together on the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Committee, and I always enjoyed her insight, and she's now also a Rotarian in the community there too. So thank you very much for your community involvement. I know you're involved in a lot of other things in the community there too, so I always appreciate your involvement in the community here. I'm going to just give you this certificate, and you can shake the hand of the other councilors. Here, he's going to take a picture here, so yeah, so you stand there slightly tall. Thanks, Catherine. Thanks. Okay. Okay, moved by Councillor Goodenough that the agenda be adopted. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Idris that the minutes from the regular council meeting held February 21st, 2023 be approved. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Jessica that the following items of correspondence be received as information, updates on council workshops, council conferences or workshops, accounts payable listing, council committee, February 28th, 2023 notes, and the annual report from the BRZ 2022. And I believe Councillor Idris will go with
Thank
you
you.
there.
Myself and Mayor Petrie attended an asset management workshop for elected officials in Calgary recently. This workshop was a partnership between Alberta Munis, the Rural Municipal Association, the FCM, the Infrastructure Assets Management Alberta, and the Government of Canada. This partnership and this collaboration of these different agencies shows how important is asset management, and that is why they got this funding to do this workshop. And just to highlight how important asset management is, just think of this statement: 60% of Canada's core public infrastructure is owned by municipalities. So the provincial government and the federal government own only 40% of the infrastructure, while the municipal government governments own 60% of the public infrastructure. And some reports suggest that these infrastructures in general are in a bad shape. And actually talking to many people who attended the workshop that day, everybody was talking about some of the challenges that they have, and Mayor Petrie and I felt that we are in a good place in terms of many of our infrastructure. Because of this, there is things like the gas tax agreements, there is the FCMM plan for the infrastructure, and all of these kind of support systems that are out there. The workshop was trying to identify what is asset management versus what is not asset, or what asset management is and what it's not. And it's not a position. It's not a software. It's not someone in a department somewhere in the city working with Excel sheets trying to do asset management. It's actually a system. It's a process. It's a mindset. And actually, throughout the day, they were talking about this asset management mindset that the council and administration used to or should work through, or should work using that approach. The workshop also talked about the role of council versus administration. So when you think about a policy, a strategy, a plan, where does the council where did the council sit, and where does the administration sit in terms of a policy on that, a strategy on asset management, and a plan for asset management? Few things that was really eye-opening for me in the workshop is some concepts, like, for example, the concept of natural assets. Canmore, for example, talked about the fact that their mountains are the most important asset. So what does that mean? If we think about ourselves, if we will look at Lake Newell, for example, as an asset, what does that mean in terms of trying to keep up the lake and keep up the life there and all of that? How do you manage non-owned asset? And that's mainly maybe for counties, for example, when they consider the rec center in Brooks as part of their asset, for example, how do they have involvement? How do they manage that? How do they contribute to that? In general, the workshop was very valuable. I actually think it should be part of an orientation process for any counselor starting this role. And I think we can also do something like an asset workshop, whether maybe every couple of years or every few years, do an asset workshop where we think of what do we own, how are we using that, how are we keeping that up, and what's our plan for the future for that. And I suggest we can look into that here in our council. So that is for that workshop. If possible, I would like to also report on a committee meeting I attended in Edmonton recently. So I also attended my municipal governance committee meeting a couple of weeks ago in Edmonton. And few things that was discussed. We updated the Alberta Munis Municipal Indigenous Relations Framework. And it's a framework that Alberta Munis use to support municipalities in building and maintaining relationships with indigenous communities that live around us. And actually even for people like us, for example, where we don't have a direct indigenous community surrounding us, what does that relationship mean? What can we do? How can we support that? We are ready for the President's Summit on the future of municipal government. It's going to be on March 29 and 30th, and myself and Mayor Petrie are attending at the end of March. All the papers, this is, for a background, this is a project that started a few years ago to look at different concepts or different areas in municipal government. For example, municipal financing, environment, governance structure, and things like that. So very academic-based papers have been written on all of the different areas of different pillars of the project. And now there is a President's Summit to talk about these papers, to discuss these papers and see a way forward. As I said, it's March 29 and 30th. There was a discussion on the ICFs in a review process. As we know, I think only 2 ICFs haven't been signed yet in the province. There are some processes going on in terms of there is some disputes, and I think one of the 2 is already in court, and one is with the minister. Alberta Munis would like to be more involved in a review process that the minister have suggested that will start. We talked about the elimination of the education tax and what could that look like if that happened. Interestingly enough, I think there isn't a universal impact that's going to happen. Some municipalities are going to benefit actually from that. Some municipalities, especially smaller municipalities that don't have a good tax base, may get some issues with that. So how can the provincial government support that was a discussion. Elections Alberta, there was a report from Election Alberta. The commissioner came to the meeting and was reporting on the last election, the provincial election, and talking about some of the changes and some of the issues, some of the complaints, some of the ambiguities around whose responsibility is it between the province, the commission, and local constituencies when it comes to some of the issues that happened last time. We talked about women in local government, and actually I would like to take the opportunity I know we are going to vote on proclaim the International Day for the International Women's Day. There will be actually an event around women in local governments online that's arranged by Alberta Munis, and I would actually like to encourage people in our community to be part from our staff to be part of that, because we as municipal councillors owe really a great debt of gratitude to the staff that are supporting us and working with us. And I think there will be some representation of that in the event on the day. And then finally, we talked about quasi-independent agencies. And sometimes I think even here we have an issue with something similar, where there are things like the energy board that can almost overpass, trump some of the municipal planning that we have around land use. So there is, I think, a brief went from Alberta Minis to the government to really think about that and see how can these two work in alignment rather than just being two separate things. So that's my report.
Okay, any questions for Councilor Jessica? Go ahead, yeah. Yeah, you go ahead, yeah.
I'll try to make this the Reader's Digest version. Alberta Care Coordinated Action on Recycling Enterprise held their spring conference in Strathmore on the 23rd and 24th of February. It was usual as well attended by primarily municipal elected officials and administration and managers, and with 140 registered. And it covered a number of topics. Strathmore as the host city talked about their priorities, which are similar to ours: affordable living, financial stability, intentional community development, climate resiliency, including environmental stewardship and economic development and community wellness. Interestingly enough, they have a solar project on the go as well, but it's a 40 megawatt on 320 acres, enough to energize 10,000 homes, and they actually own the land. So they get a double bonus on that one. They're solar tracking panels, so they actually generate on both sides. So they'll get electricity from the light reflected off the soil as well. They're going to have 400 to 600 sheep for vegetation control. And Capital Power has to remove the panels at the end of the project, which what happens to the panels has been quite a contentious issue lately. Strathmore High School Community Greenhouse was also described. It's a $35,000, 850 square foot, 33 foot diameter geodesic dome on a concrete and foam foundation, and it was financed by grants and donors, and they actually had more money than they needed for the project. And it highlights a number of different technologies: vermicomposting, composting with worms, regular composting, different types of heat storage, and also different gardening technologies. So very, very interesting little project there. SEWA, we had another, did a presentation on the project to develop a waste energy plant in our area for southern Alberta. And I believe councillors all received an update on that. But where it is now, they're working on the initial memorandum of understanding, which should go fairly quickly. And then from there, they'll go into a detailed memorandum of understanding, which will take 6 months to a year and $150,000. And at the same time, they will be approaching the communities and trying to develop a proposal for them to commit their waste, but not a non-binding commitment. But for the project to go any further, they're going to have enough waste for it to work. So rather than, they'll try to do the two parts at the same time to save some time and move the project forward. So it's still looking hopeful. There was a presentation on recycling auto plastics. 9% of plastic waste is from automobiles, and automobiles average 9.7% plastic, or 175 kilograms per vehicle. And it's just challenging because there's so many different and complex resins and contaminants. Clean Farms talked about agricultural plastic. So in Alberta, from 2013 to 2022, they did 2,270,000 kilograms of grain bags and 336,000 kilograms of twine. And it hasn't been a big issue in our area because they've been concentrating on grain and bale or twine. And we have more silage plastic, which typically is too dirty to process. And there is a pilot project in Lethbridge to work on that. We did tour the Quantum Electronics Recycling Plant, and the electronics from Barra and Bazzano and from Newell Recycling, from Newell Regional Landfill, all go to Quantum. This particular facility, though, gets most of their materials from businesses, and they refurbish about half of what they get. And Canada-wide, they're doing about 80,000 units a month marketed, primarily laptops, desktops, and phones and tablets. Calgary, they're doing 12,000 a month. Airdrie, we toured the recycling facility. Their target is a 5% GHG reduction per year, and they have they're funded as a utility, and they pay $25 a month for curbside collection, and they're a little bit behind us. They're still doing manual collection, and they're going to 3-stream automated collection. And one of the problems they have to face is, up till now, you're only allowed 1 bag per week for disposal, and with the bins, they'll hold a lot more than 1 bag, so how do they maintain that? Interesting one on artificial intelligent technology for waste streams from Leduc, and what they're using is cameras on the hoppers for their green waste bins that has a GPS, and the AI identifies the location and contamination when it's there present, and it generates a non-compliance postcard and sends it to the person with a photo that was responsible for that bin. But a very powerful technology. It's been on the news a lot, and they're also talking about how it can be used to detect potholes and issue work orders, detect water system leaks. There's, I'm sure we'll be seeing it here before too long if we haven't already. Alberta Plastics Association updated us on their projects. ARMA, so it's Alberta Recycling Management Authority, and they're going to be overseeing the extended producer responsibility project. So in all the provinces except Alberta, when you buy a product that's got packaging associated with it, a portion of that cost is to manage the end of life of the packaging materials from that product. And some of the things that we're buying have that money being taken off already, but it hasn't been used for that particular purpose because there's no program. So the program is moving ahead. It's going to be fully operational for the middle of 2025. And the way it will work is it will finance the system that you had in place last year. If I'm missing the date here, oh yeah, as of November 30th, 2022. So they will look at what we've had for recycling system program in Brooks, which is basically Newell Recycling in cooperation with Newell Regional Solid Waste. And this program, rather than that money coming necessarily from the city of Brooks and from Newell Regional Solid Waste, will be coming back to us from this program. So they did talk about solar panels again, which they are 90% recyclable by mass, and they can be shipped to the U.S. for processing and recovery. And there are programs now to recover working panels. So for example, we did take quite a number of them at the landfill from the project by Vulcan, and they had never been in service, but they were damaged in transit. And they may still have been operational, but they were not 100%, so they couldn't use them on their project. So they will be promoting off-grid use for working panels which are damaged or reduced efficiency. And there will be a home for them at the end of the day as well. And they're hoping to expand into, right now the used oil program recovers used oil, filters, and containers, and there's still a lot of antifreeze jugs, windshield washer jugs, DEF containers, antifreeze itself that needs a home. So they're looking expanding into that. And extended producer responsibility, I've already touched on that. It's has to maintain existing service level, as I said. It's fully funded by the PROs, the Producer Responsibility Organizations. So that's the manufacturers, to develop a system for the entire province. You don't have to register with it. So if Newell Recycling, the board decided they didn't want to be part of that program, then all the recyclables and activities are their responsibility, and they would not get any of the funding. So that was the big one. The little one was just a little presentation on how to lead a movement, and this came from the Innisfail Energy Hub and the Community Futures Lab, and their mission is to accelerate the transition to a sustainable energy system. So there was a presentation on experiences in creating, leading, motivating, and maintaining a movement. And lessons learned was it has to be inclusive at all levels. I don't think these are rocket science. Be ambitious and have vision while staying realistic. Movements are mathematics, so the scale of the goal dictates the size of the movement needed. The bigger it is, the more resources you need, and fundraising should target 3 times the expected goal. Ambition attracts and motivates new followers. Be prepared for fiery crashes and move ahead. Have fun, and one thing I took away from it, it helps if you're young and energetic. So
Which you
I
are.
didn't check off that box.
Yeah, which you are. Okay, anybody else have council workshops or? Okay, I just kind of want to mention from last week's budget there too. I thought some good news for the Brooks area there too. Not directly affected, but we're indirectly affected. Brooks will be getting that new junior high school. The design work will begin this year, but we knew this was coming. We just didn't know when it was coming there, but we had been tying our plan in with that because the plan when they get the new junior high school will be to build it where the existing football field is, and we already have it in motion here that we're going to work on the community football field and the soccer fields at the old rodeo grounds there too. I would assume the design work for them would be 2023 with construction starting in 2024, so that kind of gives us an idea on hopefully we can have our football field ready to go by the time they're ready to build on their football field. Those things, I don't know what the cost is on that, but usually a lot of times, I think the French school that was built was 18.5 million, and I'm quite sure by now, that's going to have an economic impact in this area, probably about $25 million. I'm just estimating on that, just from the type of school. It will be to the tear down of the old school. With the French school, they didn't have to tear down an old school. It's going to cost money to tear down that old school that goes back to the early 50s. I think Councillor Nesbitt started in that school there, didn't you? Yeah. Just with the budget too, the other thing, there's money for the surgical units at the Brooks Health Center. I don't know exactly what that means, but the government talks about moving some of the surgeries out into the rural areas there too, which is good news. There was talk about money to the Bizano Health. I talked to a counselor out there, but they didn't have any specifics on what that was going to be out there. Also money for MSI or a local government fiscal framework funding. I think Amanda, if she wants to expand on that a little bit more, it's a complicated formula and all that. The readers or PEP in the province will get more funding. FCSS funding is up 5%. And police funding grants have increased 11%. So again, I don't know how that filters down. Administration would kind of have to figure that out and that. So that's just a breakdown on some of the things I saw in the budget there last week. The other thing I want to mention too here is BGSA Radiology will be expanding their services in Brooks. That means that patients won't have to travel to Medicine Hat for services, which is good news for the people of Brooks. And they note they're coming here because of our high-speed internet. They'll be able to operate in the city because the images they scan are quite high. They can ship them down to Medicine Hat right away, where the radiologists in Medicine Hat will be able to see them like almost instantly. So I thought it was a positive story for Brooks to keep people here and about our BrooksNet too. I just want to mention too, and Councillor Idris was at the table, we were sitting with some councillors from Olds, and they were the ones that started sort of the gig internet in a small community, and we were asking them how it went, and they were quite positive about it, and they are expanding. But he said the one area where they fell down and they're still falling down is they didn't go and market that to the outside areas for big companies there. And I think we have to sort of be aware with our people there that that's one thing we have to do. We have to use that BGSA story there to tell other people there too. And I'm often hearing stories about, the high cost of housing in Ontario and in the cities there, and maybe that's a way to draw people there too. So just a couple notes there too. Okay, any questions on that? Oh, go ahead there, Councillor Idris. Yeah.
Just a comment on Councillor Jessica's report, and he mentioned that technology around pictures and all of that. I know in our community we do have pictures in our trucks and we do send notice, but can we add that picture to the, like, I like the idea of adding the picture of the in compliance with the notice we send to the people who are doing something wrong.
Just
Okay.
go.
So you
Explain.
mentioned that there is this truck.
Okay, so it's being done manually by Public Works, I think.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure they could do the same thing. The trucks are taking images. The only thing is that just somebody has to do it.
Yeah, I have seen the notice that goes to the residents that are throwing something wrong in their thing, and it just says that, warning, you have been doing this and this. But if we add that picture, it will be good.
Okay. Duly noted. Okay, to the motion, to be, all those in favor of the reports? Okay, carried, okay. Moved by Councilor Nesbitt that March 8th, 2023 be hereby proclaimed International Women's Day in the city of Brooks. Christina?
In 1910, women from North America and Europe were urging other women to participate in society equally, which included equal rights and suffrages for women. In 1911, the first International Women's Day was celebrated in Austria, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland. The United Nations designed March 8 as International Women's Day in 1977. The Government of Canada's theme for International Women's Day in 2023 is Every Woman Counts. It's a reminder that all women from all ages and walks of life have a place in every aspect of Canadian society, including the economic, social, and demographic spheres. International Women's Day is a time for women to be recognized for their achievements and in the progress made to achieve gender equality. On March 8th, the City of Brooks will recognize International Women's Day through social media. Therefore, administration is recommending that on March 8, 2023, we formally recognize it as International Women's Day in the City of Brooks.
Okay, any questions? Just kind of want to mention, over the weekend there, I watched a movie, this kind of ties into that with women talking. And it's about how women sort of took back what they're doing on a Mennonite colony in Bolivia there. And just a powerful movie on, you know, what they went and what they went through. And it's hard to imagine exactly, you know, what they did on that. But much like what you talk about, the advances over time on that there too. And, by the way, that was a Canadian funded movie there too anyway. So, okay, to the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Prentice that March 6, 2023 be hereby proclaimed Francophone Day, and March 1st to the 31st, 2023 be hereby proclaimed Francophone Days in the City of Brooks.
Through the chair to Mayor and Council, as Brooks is a diverse community encompassing Francophone citizens, Mayor and Council received a letter requesting that March 6th be proclaimed as Francophone Day, and that the weeks of March 1st through March 31st be proclaimed as Francophone Days in the City of Brooks. On March 6th, which is today, at 1 p.m., students, staff, and community members attended City Hall where both a flag-raising ceremony and a gathering with dignitaries from the community was held. Therefore, it is recommended that March 6th be proclaimed as Francophone Day, and further that the weeks of March 1st through March 31st be proclaimed as Francophone Days in the City of Brooks.
We had a nice afternoon here earlier this afternoon, about 1 o'clock. They were in the council chambers here to do the proclamation, and then we raised the flags, and then they did their anthem in French too. And the only other one that can do the anthem in French as well would be Natasha over there. So, okay. To the motion though. All in favor? Carried. Oops. Okay, moved by Councillor Goodenough that March 26, 2023 be hereby proclaimed as Purple Day for Epilepsy Awareness in the City of Brooks.
Through the chair to Mayor and Council, on January 5th, 2023, City Administration received an email from the Epilepsy Association of Calgary regarding Purple Day for Epilepsy Awareness. Epilepsy is a condition that can happen anywhere and at any time. For this reason, a campaign to help individuals with this condition has been initiated to create an awareness of epilepsy, with March 26 being declared as International Epilepsy Awareness Day. In recognition of this day, support can be shown by wearing purple and lighting buildings, towers, bridges up in purple as well. Therefore, the Epilepsy Association of Calgary respectfully requests that March 26, 2023 be hereby proclaimed as Purple Day in the City of Brooks. And just as a note, the City of Brooks will be lighting up City Hall in purple on March 26 to show support for epilepsy awareness in our community.
Okay, any questions? To the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Idris that Council appoint Willie Sparrow, Courtney Hebert, Sandy Haberman Melville, Christy Waldner, Karen Harris, Debbie Smith, Ty Sparrow, Chase Irwin, and Kathy Bruins to the Business Revitalization Zone Board effective March 1st, 2023 to March 1st, 2024. Amy.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. Annually, as required by bylaw, the BRZ is required to provide a list of new members of the BRZ board for council consideration. The following is the list of the new board of directors that administration is requesting be appointed for a one-year term. Co-president Willie Sparrow and Courtney Hebert, past president Sandy Haberman Melville, treasurer Christy Waldner, secretary Karen Harris, directors Debbie Smith, Ty Sparrow, Chase Irwin, and Kathy Bruns. Therefore, administration is recommending that the people noted in the motion be appointed to the BRZ board for the term specified.
Okay, any questions? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Jessica that Sir Stowe Hancock be reappointed to the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Board for a second two-year term commencing March 2nd, 2023 and ending March 1st, 2025. Natasha.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. City of Brooks Arts, Culture, and Heritage Board's mandate is to assist both council and the city in providing opportunities in arts, culture, and heritage programs, events, and facilities in the city of Brooks. The board consists of 6 citizens at large and 1 city councillor. Sir Stowe Hancock was initially appointed to the board on March 2nd, 2021, and her 2-year term on the board ended on March 1st, 2023. During the board meeting held February 16th, 2023, the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Board made the following motion. Tyler Wardrop made a motion to appoint Sir Stowe Hancock for a second term as a citizen-at-large representative on the City of Brooks Arts, Culture, and Heritage Board for City of Brooks Council. Marian Neeser Carrazzo seconded the motion, and the motion was carried. Therefore, staff is recommending that Sir Stowe Hancock be reappointed to the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Board for a second 2-year term commencing March 2nd, 2023 and ending March 1st, 2025.
Okay, any questions to the motion? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Nesbitt that council accept the 2022 Arts, Culture, and Heritage Board Grant Report as information. Any questions on that? Just a side note, from what I understand, the grants have, the advertising for the grants went out in February there, and they had to be in by the end of February, but from what I understand, I think they've got a lot of applications for this year. Last year was the first year we did that, and the board will be deciding later this month on who gets the grants for this year there too. So
For 2023, yeah.
yeah, for 2023.
So in December 2021, City Council allocated $10,000 for the 2022 fiscal year to the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Board. The funding was to provide support to individuals and/or groups in the city to offer events, programs, and initiatives related to arts, culture, and heritage. The board developed the grant application guidelines and process and named the funding program the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Board Grant, ACHBG. The first intake for ACHBG was May 1st to the 31st, 2022. During that time period, 1 application was received. The application period was extended to September 1st, 2022, allowing for 3 additional applications to be received. The following arts, culture, and heritage groups received funding as follows. The Brooks Choral Society received $3,000 for a music and song program. The Brooks Elks Lodge received $2,400 for the Paul Brandt Summer Concert. The Brooks and District Museum received $3,000 for the Christmas musical Lane of Lights, and Tumbleweed Theatre received $1,600 for a storytelling workshop and performance. Totaling the funding for 2022 was the full amount of $10,000. As part of the funding process, recipients are asked to complete a follow-up form to demonstrate the completion of their project and provide feedback regarding the application and the grant process. All groups that received funding stated the application and the follow-up process was simple and easy, and some suggested changes included some more room for the budget for future application periods. At the November 2022 meeting, the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Board made a few changes to the grading matrix used for scoring applicants to clarify the process a little bit, and they also updated the ineligibility criteria to include reimbursement for past projects. These changes are in effect and will be used to review and grade applications received for 2023, and the 2023 intake period, as Mayor mentioned, opened on February 1st and closed February 28th, 2023. So the recommendation for council is to accept this report for the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Board Grant 2022 year as information.
Okay, any questions? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Jessica that the City of Brooks join the regional sponsorship of the International Federation of Ag Journalists, IFAJ Congress, and tour for up to $20,000, and that be funded from the Council Special Projects Reserve. Now, before we get to that motion, we have an amendment to the motion there. So we'll go to the amendment first and vote on that, and then we'll go back to the original motion. Oh, okay, okay, go ahead there, Mitch, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council, from June 27th to July 3rd, Olds, Alberta will be the host site for the 2023 International Federation of Ag Journalists, or IFAJ, Congress. As part of the Congress, delegates will be able to join a pre-event farm tour on June 26th and the 27th, and the Brooks Snow region has been selected as the site for the day 2 of the tour. The plan is for the tour to focus on irrigation and what it means to agriculture in southern Alberta. A group of 20 to 30 journalists from around the world will travel by bus, leaving Calgary on June 26th, travel to Lethbridge and the Tabor area, before coming to Brooks, where they will spend the night. The next day, they will tour the Brooks Snow region, stopping at the aqueduct, a local farm, a vegetable processor, a restaurant for lunch, a feedlot, and the Bazzano Dam before returning to Calgary. The IFAJ Congress welcomes some of the best agricultural journalists in the world. They expect between 200 and 300 delegates from around the globe for the week-long event, including speakers and tours showing off all that Canadian agriculture has to offer. They take in information from the Congress and tours and publish stories for rural readers around the world. Many of the participants will be from countries that are customers of Canadian ag products. This is a very unique opportunity to receive positive international publicity for our local producers and agricultural industry. Attached is a listing of some of the stories that were published following the IFAJ Congress held in Denmark. Sponsorship opportunities are available for the event, which, combined with the spotlight of the tour, would give our region significant positive exposure. The idea was introduced at Council on February 21st and discussed further at Council Committee on February 28th. Both the County of Newell and the Eastern Irrigation District are committed to supporting a platinum sponsorship through a regional partnership. With these partners on board, the city's maximum share would be $13,333.33, one-third of the $40,000 contribution. With this sponsorship, the region would receive co-sponsorship of the welcome reception at Knowles on June 28th, where a representative will be able to give a presentation about the Brooks Newell region in front of 200 to 300 ag journalists. 2 full-page, full-color ads in the conference program. Sponsorship of the Hospitality Suite Knowles the evening of June 28th, where delegates and community representatives can attend to network, promote the region. We'll have handouts, banners, and videos promoting the Brooks Snow region. There will be 3 Congress registrations for the entire week, excluding hotel costs. Promotional item or printed materials inserted in the delegate registration bags, and optionally, we'll be able to sponsor a conference beer brewed at Olds College for the welcome reception, or alternatively, have it provided by one of our local brewers here in the Brooks Snow region. While the farm tour is in our region, Joint Services has indicated that they would like to make an extra effort to ensure delegates have a very positive experience. Any costs incurred in this hosting would be covered under the Joint Services budget. Therefore, staff makes the recommendation that the motion tabled by Council on February 28th, 2023 be amended to state that the City of Brooks join the regional sponsorship of the International Federation of Ag Journalists Congress and Tour for up to $13,333.33, and that this be funded from the Council Projects Reserve.
Okay, and then, okay, to the amended motion, moved by Councillor Goodenough that the motion be amended by replacing 20,000 with 13,333.33. Any questions on the amended motion? To the amended motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, back to the original motion then. Oh yeah, moved by Councillor Jessica that the City of Brooks join the regional sponsorship of the International Federation of Ag Journalists, IFAJ Congress, and tour for up to $13,333.33, and that be funded from the Council Special Projects Reserve. Any questions on this? To the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Prentice that council endorse the Alberta Community Partnership Grant application to fund the 4 phases of the Unlocking the Full Potential of Alberta Mid-Sized Cities Initiative.
Through the chair to mayor and council, the Alberta Mid-Sized Cities Group consists of 25 municipalities, and this also includes Brooks. It includes all cities except Edmonton and Calgary, and towns with populations over 15,000. The list of municipalities can be found on the first page of the ACP application in the Partners section and would include the applicant municipality as well, being the town of Cochrane. The group represents approximately 1 million Albertans and nearly 35 provincial constituencies. This group has been together for many years, and their focus is on issues that relate to mid-sized communities that are unique and different from those of our 2 largest cities or smaller communities. The purpose of this $400,000 application under the Strategic Initiative stream of the ACP is to unlock the full potential of Alberta's mid-sized cities. There is no financial commitment required from the municipalities, but there is required an estimated 30 hours of in-kind data collection and participation in meetings and workshops. The proposal consists of 4 interconnected phases, being fiscal sustainability. The purpose here is to build a model that maps the legislative required and discretionary costs and revenues of each municipality that can be used to estimate the impact of funding models or funding model changes and identify common gaps and pressures. Each municipality will receive their results and benchmark. Economic impact assessment. Data from the first phase will identify the current economic impact of the mid-sized city group and will also include modeling of differing growth scenarios to illustrate the group's social economic impact for the province. Mapping and road ahead. This phase will identify and determine the opportunities as well as legislative, regulatory, policy, and other barriers to achieving the group's full potential. This will report on the results of engagement with mayors and CAOs, perform a jurisdictional review of how other jurisdictions approach the unique needs of mid-sized cities, and will include a visioning session to identify and develop priorities. Development of a common dashboard. This will develop a key metric dashboard for mid-sized cities. Each municipality will receive an individualized municipal profile outlining their results and the benchmark. This will be informed from the development of a suite of demographic, social, and economic indicators, including the exploration of leading practices that each municipality and the mid-sized cities as a whole can leverage as a baseline to track progress. The purpose of the application is to strengthen the significance and position of mid-sized cities as a relevant and important voice within the province, and to collaborate and strategize to come up with creative ways to address matters that directly impact mid-sized cities, and to advocate for recognition of an Albertan urban agenda. So the recommendation that comes forward to you is that council endorse the Alberta Community Partnership Grant application to fund the 4 phases of unlocking the full potential of Albertans' mid-sized cities initiative.
Okay, any questions? In this case here, we're not spending any money. We're just kind of showing our support for mid-sized cities. And as I've often said with mid-sized cities, Calgary, which is 1.4 million people, Edmonton is about the same. They pretty well dominate and have the most MLAs in the province here. So this group wants to make sure that we're not ignored in that. So that's the whole thinking behind this organization there too. And we've been part of this group here too. And I think Councillor Goodenough will be at a meeting in Cochrane, I believe, in a couple weeks' time to represent the city on that one there too. Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, next on the agenda is the transportation bylaw, but Councillor Idris wants to speak before the motion here.
Yes, I know there is a motion on the floor to have first reading, but I would like to motion to table the bylaw.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Idris that bylaw 2301 be tabled and brought back to a future regular council meeting. Now, if we table it, we don't ask questions on it, we just vote on it then, right? Okay, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4, okay, carried. So, okay, so it is tabled, and yeah. Okay, so we don't have to do anything else with 2301, 2301, okay, and that one there. Okay, we move down the line here. Okay, moved by Councillor Prentice that bylaw number 2303 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks and the province Alberta to control, regulate, and license businesses be introduced and read a first time. Amy.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. Administration recently updated the business license bylaw to reflect the current practice of the planning and engineering department. Changes to the bylaw include removal of clauses referencing penalties, as current practice is that a non-resident business license is canceled if the license fee is not paid by January 1st. Addition of property owners and landlords being exempt from the requirement to obtain a business license if they do not operate a business. Addition of a requirement to complete and submit a renewal form prior to a business license being issued each year. Addition of a requirement for mobile vendors to obtain a development permit as per the land use bylaw, and removal of the cost for a city or county business to pay for a business license, which was changed in 2020. Therefore, administration is recommending that council provide 3 readings and adopt this bylaw.
Okay, any questions? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Goodenough that bylaw number 2303 be read a second time. All those in favor? Oh, sorry, questions, right after the first. Questions on this one, any questions? Do you have Councillor Idris?
3 questions. My first question is regarding the idea that if someone doesn't renew by December 31st, it gets cancelled, so therefore there is no penalty. So let's say someone doesn't renew, and then we consider him cancelled, but they are still operating, and then in a few weeks they come back to renew. What does that mean? This is a new business again, or?
So thank you through the chair to Councillor Idris. In this situation, we are contacting the businesses before we cancel any business license. We always do follow up and confirm with them. And a lot of times the case is, especially for the ones that are paying, because those are the non-resident licenses, it's they're not working in Brooks that year. So they choose not to get a license that year. So we would cancel them, and then when they come back, it would be charged as a new license. And if they are still operating, again, we're doing the follow-up. We're making sure that we get in touch with them prior to doing any cancellation.
Okay, thank you. My second question is regarding actually the appeal process. And if I understand how it's written, so we issue the notice, okay? And the person or the business have 14 days, and this is, by the way, now I'm looking at 945, section 945. So they have 14 days to appeal that decision, the remedial order. First step is correct, okay? And then in 951, it says we will have to hold a hearing 30 days from the receipt of the remedial order. So really, we have only 16 days from the receiving of the appeal to do the appeal. Am I understanding this correctly? Okay, my suggestion is to amend this. I think 14, like it basically, if we receive it, that means it has to be the next council meeting, and sometime if the next council meet. So I think if we are able to give ourselves the 30 days actually from the day of the appeal, then that gives us a good time, because again, you will have to send a notice 5 days prior to the date of the hearing. So really, we have about 10 days only to decide, and sometimes there is a 10 days without a council meeting.
Okay, go ahead, Amy. Yeah, yeah.
Through the chair to Councilor Idris, so just to confirm, because I think Amanda will be writing out a motion if I'm correct, to amend subsection 951 to say, hold a hearing within 30 days after receipt of the appeal. Okay.
Is that not in there right now, though? Oh, okay,
Through the chair to Mayor Petrie, it states remedial order.
okay.
So as Councilor Idris said, it does shorten the time period.
Okay.
So by changing that wording, then we still have a month after council receives the appeal to hold
Okay.
the appeal hearing.
Okay.
Do you want the amendment brought back to like a council committee meeting? No? Okay.
And then my last one is actually 945 to say the Court of King's Bench, not Queen's Bench.
Nine forty.
944.
944, okay, thank you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I just want to make sure this is right.
We should have Jeopardy music or something while we're waiting. Do. Yeah, sure. Okay, this is the motion here. Moved by Councilor Prentice that bylaw 2303 be referred to, oh, just wait, but, sorry, yeah, moved by Councilor, okay, that,
Councilor Idris.
yeah, just wait. Okay, moved by Councilor Idris that bylaw 2303 be amended as follow. Clause 951 be amended to replace remedial order with appeal, and 944 be amended to replace Court of Queen's Bench with the Court of King's Bench. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, all those in favor of the amendment? Okay, carried. Okay, and then back to, okay, moved by Councilor Goodenough that bylaw 2303 be read a second time as amended. Any other questions on that? Councilor Goodenough?
I'm just curious, on number 4 here, additional requirement for mobile vendors to obtain a development permit as per the land use bylaw. Could you just explain that a little bit more? Just, I couldn't find it clearly defined in here.
To the chair, to Councillor Goodenough, this was added because we amended the land use bylaw a couple of years ago with requirements for development permits, and the business license bylaw didn't specify the need for development permits, so we're referencing that so that any vendor basically has to follow the requirements of the land use bylaw and get development permits when necessary. Currently, right now, our land use bylaw reads that any business or vendor larger than 50 square feet is required to get a development permit. that's something that we are working with our planner from the Old Man River Regional Services Commission to look at some different options, and we will bring back to council for discussion.
So what's included, like, in a development permit? Like, what are you asking or requiring of vendors?
So a development permit, we take in applications for the fee ranges between $100 to $300, depending on the purpose. But the purpose of a development permit is to look at multiple things. We look at lot coverage, we look at setbacks from property lines, we look at parking requirements. There's a vast range of things that we look at, and the requirements have to meet the land use bylaw requirements. So with a development permit application, we would look at a plot plan of the lot and look at the placement of whatever structure is being put there, and make sure that by placing that, they're not creating traffic concerns, they're not creating issues with and reducing parking stalls that are already required for original development permits or any other uses on site. And then once we do a full review of a development permit and we approve it, there's always a 21-day appeal period per the Municipal Government Act. And once the appeal period is up, then we are able to issue a business license for the use.
And that business use is for the whole year, or just for the one time that they decide to pull into that parking lot?
So the development permit is a permanent thing, a
Okay.
development permit. So the business license is obviously annual, but the development permit is a permanent thing.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Jessica that bylaw number 2303 be given 3 readings at this meeting as amended. Has to be carried unanimously. All those in favor? Carried, okay. Moved by Councillor Prentice that bylaw number 2303 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to control, regulate, and license businesses be read a 3rd time and adopted. Okay, any questions? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, I don't know, is Sandra on there? Okay, no questions from the media. Moved by Councillor Goodenough that the meeting adjourn at 5:33 p.m. All those in favor? Carried.